Welcome to Mixing for Beginners. I'm Matt. We are continuing talking about mixing vocals, and this is the, I think, fourth video and maybe 5 or 6 that I'll do that takes you through each step of the process, mixing your vocals so that you can get them sounding as good as possible, but for beginners. In the first video we did, I did an overview video of Ableton a bit, but then we talked about the first thing you do, which is editing your vocals first. Then you pitch correct, then you EQ, and now we compress. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this video is compression. But you should know that compressors are simple conceptually, but they do a lot of different things. And in order to not get too complicated, we're not going to go through every single parameter that a compressor will give you or every single type of parameter. I just want to get you some basic knowledge and some basic things that you can do to add compression to make your vocal sound good. So what does a compressor do? Well, the first thing a compressor does is it balances out volume, so there isn't as much difference between the softer and louder sections of a track. I mean, we all know singers, when they're singing higher in their range, they're louder. When they're lower in their range, they're softer. And so a compressor just evens it out so that there isn't a big volume differential between the two. But the second thing it does is it actually shapes your tone, because different compressors have a different character, which is based on how they compress, but then also the circuitry that your track gets sent through. So compressors started off as hardware, and they were all built differently. They had different transistors, they had different tubes, they had different signal path and circuitry, and depending on how they were manufactured, they would add a different type of characteristic and tone to your track. Now, a lot of plugins that we have now that are compressors are based on, probably mostly are based on those hardware units, and they are mimicking the tonal quality of famous hardware compressors like the LA2A, like the 1176, like the Fairchild that we were using since the beginning of recording. And so anyway, we use compressors on pretty much everything, but we use them on vocals because we want to be able to hear everything that the vocalist is saying nice and clearly. And by evening out the volume, it does that. But also so that it stands out in the mix without being annoying, because of the way that these compressors will shape and give character to sound. It's actually more pleasing. It's less sort of a jagged, less. You're getting less of like harsh frequencies. It'll sort of round out harsh frequencies, so the sound is just a lot more pleasing to listen to. But the other thing though is not different. Like I said, different compressors do different things. They have different characteristics. So oftentimes on things like vocals, we'll actually stack compressors. You might have one that balances out the volume nice and transparently, doesn't add any characteristics. Maybe one that brings out certain frequencies, and maybe one that brings out a little bit of saturation if you wanted to drive the vocals and make it stand out a little bit more. But the point is, they all do different things. You can use one, you can use a few stacked up, just depending on the type of tonal quality that you're looking for. As I mentioned before, Ableton comes with a bunch of different plugins, including several types of compressors. So why don't we just use one of the Ableton compressors, because it's pretty easy to look at. So under in the menu, audio effects, compressor, it's right here. Of note, if you unfurl it right below, you'll see these are all just presets that if you're looking for something quick, you could just grab it and it would already fill in the presets for you. But we're just going to grab compressor, no preset. Just everything zeroed out. Now, just to get a set, this is a track that we've EQ'd, the vocal track that we've already EQ'd, and
you
we're
wear
gonna
the
work
flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter it.
Now the thing is, you can hear it, but you can also see right here that this section right here and this section right here are lower volume than some of the stuff around it. And in the full mix, we're not going to hear that if the other sections, the louder sections, are at the right volume. We're not going to hear the lower stuff. So that's what we're trying to deal with to bring down the difference between the volume spikes there. So compressor. Now There are different views you can look at. You can change the UI here. And this is how I like to look at a compressor. I think it's the cleanest way. The other two views are a little strange for me. I mean, it's fine. You can figure them out, but I'm used to this one. Now let's take a look at some of the parameters on this compressor. So the first knob that we're looking at is called ratio. And what it does is it sets how much the compressor is going to compress. And the ratio is read like this. This is a 4-to-1 ratio. So for every 4 decibels of volume increase, it's only going to let out 1 decibel of perceived volume increase. So it could be 10-to-1. So for every 10 decibels of volume increase, it's only going to let out 1 decibel of volume increase, your perceived volume increase. So the higher the ratio, the more it is squashing your sound. So that's the first parameter. The second is attack, which is how long does it take for the compressor to snap in. And this is set at 1 milliseconds. And then release is how fast the compressor will shut off once the threshold isn't met, which we'll look at next. And this is at 30 milliseconds. So it applies a lot faster than it releases in this case. And then the threshold is at what level is the compressor going to start to comply. So let's play it so you can see what's happening here. So this is a 4-to-1 ratio, and
You wear the flag.
applying the threshold. Actually, let me bring the volume down here a little bit so I can still talk. Applying the threshold, you'll hear the compressor start to kick in.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth.
Now you heard it bring down volume, right? So that's what happens. So if you apply the threshold more and more, it's gonna let less audio come out on the other end. So there's this thing called makeup, which will bring up the output of the signal. And on the Ableton compressor here, makeup happens automatically. We could also do it ourselves just by increasing the output here, which I'll show you.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the.
Now let's just look at what makeup does. This might actually distort.
You wear the
It
flag
doesn't.
on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter it.
Now, let's bring up the ratio so we can apply this compressor more so we can hear better what the heck is going on. Let's bring this up to 15. All right, and start applying it.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter it. And now
All right, I can notice a few things right off the bat, and hopefully you can too. First of all, there's a noise floor that you can hear now that you couldn't hear before when the compressor wasn't on it, because it's homogenizing the volume levels between the loudest and the softest stuff. You are going to hear the softest stuff more, which is exactly why we edit the audio file. We try to take out any breaths or clicks or mouth sounds before we ever hit the compressor, because once we do, it's going to come up in volume and it's going to go into your mix. Now, we would never compress. We're not going to compress the vocals this much.
you wear the flag on your dress like.
So the first thing I heard, like I said, is you're hearing the noise floor go up. But the second thing I'm hearing too is it's like thumping a bit too. It's struggling to squash as much as we're asking it to, and it's sort of thumping the sound, which does not sound good. What I'd be looking for in my first compressor is to like I said, bring down the volume differentials, but in as transparent a way as possible. So this isn't very transparent at all.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter.
So I think the ratio is a little bit too high. I'm going to go to 10 here.
You wear the flag on your dress
And hit
like
makeup.
a cataract. The dual colors see
Sounds a
the
lot
truth
better.
and then filter it. You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter it.
Okay, and so I want to call your attention too to this, to right here, GR. What GR stands for is gain reduction. So it is how much it's bringing down in decibels, how much it's bringing down the signal. And what I tend to be looking for is somewhere around -6, somewhere between -4 and -6. So let's take a look.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter it.
Yeah, so that, I think it peaked at 5 something, at negative 5 something. I actually think this sounds pretty good where it is. I don't have to really change anything else.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual.
Because you hear cataract is the same volume as what's preceding it. And I do hear a little bit of it makes the sound a little bit crispier, more saturated, I guess, is maybe a good way to say it. But it's not totally affecting the sound quality. It still sounds pretty decent.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract.
All right, cool. So I think that sounds like a pretty good compromise of everything right there. I do want to call your attention to something else too. The last thing, we won't go through some of the other details here, but dry wet this is a great thing that Ableton offers. You are able to you don't have to apply this compressor at 100%. So this tells you what percentage of the dry signal prior to the compressor will be let through and what percentage is going to be compressed. So 50, if you put it at 50%, that means it'll be 50% dry tone, 50% affected by the compressor. For what we're doing here with the compressor, I'm just going to keep this at 100%. There's no need to do anything, but it's extremely useful in other ways and other applications. So again,
you wear the flag on your dress like a cataract.
All right, that sounds pretty good. So hopefully you have a pretty good understanding of what a compressor does and using this particular Ableton compressor. I do want to show you one more though, because if you're looking for like stupid simple, there is a compressor that a lot of people use. Let me find it here. Like Grammy Award winners use this thing, and it's super simple, and it sounds good. It's really kind of crazy that it exists. But this is the Arvox, and Waves makes this version. I think maybe Waves is the only one that makes the Arvox. This is it. And now Arvox does allow a bunch of different presets as well. If you click on this menu right here, you can go to artists. Different artists have different presets, but we don't even need this. So what this Arvox, the Arvox has got, it has 3 sliders, and you don't even really have to think about the gate. It has comp and gain. So how much are we compressing this thing, and are we doing any makeup gain? Now, with this Arvox, by adding the compression, it automatically adds on makeup gain too, so the perceived volume for us doesn't really change that much, but you do get a more compressed sound. Here, I'll show you what it's like.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter it.
Now it's pretty crispy at negative 18. I'm gonna turn it all the way up so you can hear what happens.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter.
Hear that noise floor again? Hear how crispy it sounds? Noise floor is way up. It sounds a lot crispier, and it's like thumping because we're asking it to do too much. Obviously, we don't want to turn the compressor on this much, so
you wear the
we're going to bring it
flag
back.
on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter it. And now your mind's eye is bruised like a pugilist.
And again, it's somewhere around where we're seeing this red.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual color.
I kind of want it to be around negative 6 again here. Maybe a little more. Let's bring it down.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then.
That sounds really transparent. If we're making the peaks hit at negative 6, it sounds really transparent. If we put more on it, I don't mind the tone at all. It gives it a little bit of saturation.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. The dual colors see the truth and then filter it. And now
here's what it sounds like without.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract. You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. So Arvox, super simple, but sounds good. So if you just want to do something quick or you don't want to bother with all the parameters, you don't remember them, Arvox is really a great is really a great compressor. I think it might be, I don't know, $25-$30 through Waves, but well worth it, and a lot of people use it. In fact, the last thing I want to do is just show you what my lead vocal, what I landed on with my lead vocal here. I just got to bring the plugins over here. So I am using stacked compressors. Don't worry about this is the first thing. This 1073 is a preamp. Don't worry about that. But I am using this 1176 compressor. Excuse me, this 1176 compressor, and then the Arvox. The 1176 is tone shaping, and then the RVox sort of smooths things out. But this is what the track sounds like, just to give you some context.
You wear the flag on your dress like a cataract.
And then in the mix.
Colors see the truth and then filter it. And now your mind's eye is...
So that sounds pretty good. No need to be as complicated as this. You could just use the plugin that comes with Ableton, or this RVox is great. But if you do end up with, say you have a plugin suite, maybe you own it, or some of these have subscription services. I really like these universal audio plugins, the 1073 preamp and the 1176. And if you find yourself with them or another third-party plugin, a lot of times they will have presets like this one. The 1073 has got. I'm just using the male vocal preset, which I did some tweaks to, and bright vocal here is a preset for the 1176. It gave me a starting place. But you could experiment with that. But if not, just use the Ableton compressor, which is a pretty decent option, or this RVox, which sounds pretty sweet. So I think that's pretty much it. We'll talk about spatial effects in the next video. Thanks.
Risks agent. You pegged to the